What's going on, everyone? It's your average consumer, and today we're going to be taking a first look at what could possibly be the new iPhone 6. Now, I want to give a huge shout out to my friend Sonny Dixon who helped me get my hands on this, and if you guys want to check him out, you can find all his links down below in the description, and he's been pretty spot on with some information about Apple products before they've been released in the past, so you guys definitely might want to check him out if you want to learn more stuff about Apple products before they're announced. But let's not waste any time. Let's get right into it. And alright guys, just want to start off with a disclaimer that the iPhone 6 is not guaranteed to look like this. Apple is very secretive about what their products will look like until they're actually announced. But Sonny Dixon has been pretty reliable in the past with information and scoops on the new products. So hopefully this is really close to it, or this is probably it. Now let's take a look at the actual phone itself. Now this has a 4.7-inch display, which means a larger screen. Now the old iPhone 5 and 5S had a 4-inch display, and this one looks like it's going to be 4.7 inches, and there might possibly be a 5.5-inch version as well, but I'm not sure if that one's actually going to come into existence. That is a pretty large phone for Apple to come out with, so I'd be very surprised if that one came into fruition. But this is touting a 4.7-inch display, which means it's going to be a longer phone and slightly wider, but it still feels very comfortable in the hand. I actually have no problem holding this, and it actually shows a large resemblance to the iPod Touch 5th generation. Now, the iPod Touch 5th generation kind of started the design trend of having the rounded corners instead of those sharp edges. The iPod Touch 5th generation started that, and then it was followed by the iPad mini, and then the iPad Air and iPad mini 2, and now possibly the iPhone 6. Even looking at the volume buttons, you can see that it no longer has those rounded buttons with the plus and minus on it. Now it has those oval shaped buttons that are similar to the iPod Touch, as well as the iPad and the iPad mini. And another interesting move is that the power button is no longer on the top of the phone, and it is now on the right side. And you'll see this typically with larger Android devices, and that's because it's just easier to handle that way. When the power button is all the way at the top, it's a little harder to reach, and you can see that with the HTC One M8. It actually is a very tall phone, and the power button is at the top, and I had trouble getting to the power button a couple of times, so it's very annoying. So I think Apple is trying to avoid that altogether, since this is a taller phone than everyone is accustomed to. Now, speaking about the HTC One M8, if you take a look at the back of the iPhone 6, it looks very similar. It's actually very shocking. If Apple does follow this design cue, it's going to look very much like the HTC One M8, and it's going to be very interesting because Apple is usually like the trendsetter. They don't usually follow design cues from any phone out there, but it looks like it would be a direct copy to a lot of people's eyes. So it'd be very interesting to see if Apple does go with this design pattern, because a lot of people will call them copycats. But still, at the bottom of the phone, you're going to find your 3.5mm headphone jack, your lightning connector, as well as a speaker. It would have been cool to see Apple introduce stereo speakers or something, but it looks like it's going to follow the traditional one speaker on the iPhone design. Now, I want to know what you guys think of this design. Personally, I think it feels pretty nice in the hand. I like the larger display. My only concern is that it's actually really thin, and it might be a little slippery, similar to the HTC One M8. I have the iPod Touch 5th generation, and I never like holding that without a case because it always felt like I could break it or it would slip right out my hand and fall. So my only concern lies there, that it might just be too slippery. It doesn't have those hard edges to actually really hold on to. But we'll see how that actually goes when Apple comes out with it. Overall, nice design. I think it's a pretty good look. It just really looks like an iPod Touch 5th generation and HTC One M8 hybrid. So we're going to see what Apple does. I'm pretty interested. But like I said, I want to know what you guys think of it down below, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. If you enjoyed this, be the cool guy that hits the thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel for more content from me. And definitely stay tuned for a special video I have with this mock-up, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Till then, it's your average consumer. Peace.